Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. We have a huge show for you today, so let's get started. First, stand your ground, also known as make my day. Usually makes someone's day not so great. Anyway, the long arm of the law may take some time, but they usually will come and find you. We have a Mother of the Year contestant. He who represents himself has a fool as an attorney, Exhibit A, shortly. And then finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it. All right, aficionados, let's get started, but you know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do, hit that bell so you receive notifications, and remember, leave me a comment below about what we talk about here today, and you can also listen to us anytime on your favorite podcasting app. All right, before we get started on today's docket, a quick reminder. We're going live 6 p.m. Mountain Time this evening. Please join us. We'll be taking your questions, and immediately following that, we'll be doing our Patreon show for all of our Patreon members. It's always a good time. Please join us. All right, let's go ahead and open the docket for August 30th, 2022. Make my day. All right, also known as stand your ground, the castle doctrine, whatever you're going to call it. But what does it mean? It means if you believe that you or someone in your house is in fear of imminent, serious bodily injury or death, you can usually defend yourself. And what does it usually require? Breaking the threshold of the house, of the door of the house. Breaking the threshold on the door of the house is what it requires. Well, let me give you an example of that. All right. Now, James Rail, this guy, he's 22. He was shot 3 times by a guy by the name of Michael Duckrow after he went unannounced to their home on July 31st. Now, Rail had dated Duckrow's daughter, Allison, and the two had previously broken up about a year and a half before the incident that took place. Anyway, so Rail leaves his ex-girlfriend a voicemail the night before the shooting saying that he wanted to see how she was doing. Well, the Ring camera footage caught the moment that Duckrow fired through the front door on his property and killed Mr. Rail, who was unarmed. But it doesn't matter under the law. Anyway, you can see here, Rail can be seen trying to push his way into the property as Duckrow even warns him, James, no, get off my porch. And then he says, I have a gun, before shooting. Mr. Rail then staggers away from the door before collapsing on the property's driveway with his feet visible there on the camera. Now, neighbors are also seen running after hearing gunshots, but they left Mr. Rail dying on the floor for at least 7 minutes before law enforcement arrived. We've talked about this before. What duty do you have to aid? Zero, zip, nada, nothing, unless, of course, the law imposes it upon you, like if there's a car accident, you have to give aid before you can leave, and not in every jurisdiction. So did they do anything wrong? Yeah, probably not. Anyway, first responders arrived, pronounced Mr. Rail deceased, dead at the scene, with an autopsy ruling that he sustained 2 gunshots to the shoulder and a fatal wound that went into his back, probably the spine. Anyway, in his final voicemail to his ex, Rail says, Hi, Allie, it's James. I just wanted to reach out to you because I just wanted to see you, how you're doing, and maybe hear from you, if that would be all right, I guess. It's been a while since I've talked to you, and I don't know how I feel. I don't know what I feel. Duckrow reportedly replied to him saying, What's up, after receiving the voicemail, despite claims by the family that it was scary. Now, people also claim that Allison, the daughter, had previously worked as a dispatcher with the sheriff's department, like that should make any difference. Why? Because this matter went to the grand jury, and the grand jury ruled 8-1 that Mr. Duckrow should not be indicted on the felony charge under the stand your ground, a.k.a. make my day, or ruin somebody else's day, because that's the law there in Ohio. As I said, the legislation called the Castle Doctrine, which goes back to the Magna Carta days, allows homeowners to use lethal force when they feel threatened. And now on the 911 call, Allison Duckrow can be heard praising her father, saying, Dad, there's nothing you could have done. You saved my life. You know, take a look at the video. It's not too graphic. And, the guy was clearly trying to get into the house. The castle doctrine is, doesn't say you have to wait till they actually get in. I'm a firm believer, though. Wait till they cross the plane of the house. Makes it a lot cleaner. I once had a conversation with an attorney where I inherited a client, and my client had made, let's just say he'd made some intimidating comments to this attorney. And the attorney said, listen, I'll sum it up to you this way, Scott. If this guy shows up within 100 feet of my house, I will take him out and I will drag him into my house, referencing the Make My Day. Now, we're certainly not condoning anyone do that, okay? Because the truth will come out. They'll catch you. Don't do that. But I'm just saying. All right, a fugitive is caught, that long arm of the law. So a former Marine considered to be so dangerous, he was set as the highest bounty ever by the U.S. Marshals, has been captured in El Salvador after 6 years on the run. Raymond R.J. McLeod was found teaching English in the 71,000 member city of Sonosate, which is about 20 miles inland from the Pacific coast. Now, the United States Marshals in April added him to their list of the 15 most wanted and offered a reward of $50,000, leading to his arrest. That's double what the usual amount is. Anyway, he was sought for the June 2016 murder of his new girlfriend, Crystal Mitchell. Apparently, this took place in an apartment where they were staying when they were visiting some friends in San Diego. After they had visited a bar, she was found strangled, and McLeod apparently got into an argument with another man, also an ex-Marine. All three were kicked out of the bar. McLeod and Mitchell returned to the rental apartment, and Mitchell was found dead the next day with obvious signs of a struggle. McLeod, who investigators said had a history of violence, went on the run, traveling through Mexico into Central America. He was spotted in Guatemala in 2017 and Belize the following year. Now, marshals appealed for help, but warned he was considered armed and dangerous and described him as an avid bodybuilder and a heavy drinker. When he was added to the top 15 list in 2021, Marshal Steve Stanford for the Southern District of California said they would never give up. And look, it worked out. They got him. I mean, we've talked about this. When you run, it's called consciousness of guilt. You can get a flight instruction, right? The prosecutors say, hey, there's this instruction. It's called the flight instruction that says, hey, jury, you can consider the fact that this person did not remain at the scene in making your determination of whether they're guilty or not, right? Because if you're innocent, like our previous shooter guy, he stayed there. If he had run, it would look bad for him. He'd probably be indicted. But he's like, no, I was protecting my family under the castle doctrine. I did it. I own it. I embrace it. Just something to think about, ladies and gentlemen. Like many Americans, we got a dog during the pandemic. My quarantine dog, Miss Winnie the Bulldog. Now, Miss Winnie has grown accustomed to being around us all the time. When we were leaving the house, Winnie would have extreme anxiety, so we decided to look for natural products to help with her anxiety. We looked for the highest quality CBD treats, and we were not satisfied, and neither was Winnie. So we created a high-quality CBD product that absorbs faster and provides the required results faster. Baked in Colorado CBD treats and beverage enhancers are made with nanotechnology. The nanotechnology makes the CBD extraction more pure, also allows for Baked in Colorado products to work faster. Baked in Colorado products can help reduce your pet's anxiety, ease joint pain, and help with your dog's skin problems. Go to our online store and see what Baked in Colorado product is best for your dog. When you order at bakedincolorado.com, enter code WINNIE and receive 15% off your first order. We have a 30-day money-back guarantee. If your dog does not experience the desired results in 30 days, return the product and we will refund your money. No questions asked. Next, Mother of the Year contender. That's right. A Florida woman has been sentenced to life in prison following the first-degree murder conviction for the death of her toddler son, Ezra. Now, Cape Coral parents Ryan Patrick O'Leary and Sheila O'Leary were indicted back in 2019 for aggravated child abuse, aggravated manslaughter, child abuse, and 2 counts of child neglect. After a week-long trial, the jurors returned a guilty verdict against Sheila O'Leary on all charges back in June. On Monday, Judge Bruce Kyle sentenced Sheila O'Leary to life in prison. She'll serve concurrent sentences for an additional conviction, including 30 years each for manslaughter and aggravated child abuse, along with 5 years each for 2 child neglect and child abuse cases. Now, Ryan O'Leary, who called 911 after Ezra stopped breathing, is currently awaiting his own trial. The evidence shown at trial and proven beyond a reasonable doubt to the jury was that the child died due to complications from severe malnutrition and dehydration. Shortly after Ezra's death, the O'Learys told investigators their children ate raw food diet that largely consists of mangoes, bananas, and avocados. They added that Ezra hadn't eaten in a week and had only been getting his nutrition through breastfeeding. The night before his death, Sheila O'Leary said her son was having difficulty breathing while breastfeeding him, and the couple went to sleep instead of getting child medical help. Sheila O'Leary added that her son was born at home and had never actually seen a doctor. While she claimed her other children were homeschooled, police determined that they were not enrolled in an approved program. The couple's 2 surviving children, ages 3 and 5, were found malnourished. The third child, who is Sheila O'Leary's daughter with a different father, reportedly appeared to be the healthiest of the 3 children. Now, police wrote in their report that the girl stays with her biological father for 2 weeks every couple of months, possibly explaining her healthier appearance. The girl was eventually placed with her biological father's sole custody because she failed to thrive in Sheila O'Leary's care. A previous Cape Coral probable cause statement indicated that an autopsy confirmed that Ezra died from complications of malnutrition, including liver and slight edema of hands, feet, and lower legs. This child did not eat. Prosecutors alleged during the trial he was starved to death for over 18 months. Tragic case. Tragic case. What do you do? Well, if you don't do anything, well, you go to jail. Prison, actually. There's a difference. All right. We mentioned in the introduction, he who represents himself has a fool for a client. We know there's various variations on that, but you all know what I mean. But this is probably the real reason why. I'm going to give you an example in this case. This is the reason why people want to represent themselves, to do what they can't do pre-trial, which is usually have contact with the victim, okay? They think that somehow when they get up there and they confront the victim, that they're just going to have a change of heart and say, oh my God, I love you. I made it all up. Didn't work for this Florida man. He was found guilty of sexual assault, kidnapping, and attempted murder of his ex-wife. This was after he axed his lawyer so he could cross-examine her, and moved that proved quite unpopular with the jury. It took the jury just under 5 hours to convict Trevor Summers of all 11 counts against him. Now, Mr. Summers decided to represent himself last week. He attempted to cross-examine his ex-wife, Alyssa Mathewson, on the stand after she testified that he took her hostage, hogtied her, sexually assaulted her during a terrifying 2-day ordeal in which she thought she was going to die. Let me show you an example of an amateur asking an amateur question, and how the person on the stand, the victim, hit it out of the park, hit a home run. Okay? The amateur, I want to play lawyer today, asked, quote, "Did I threaten you to have sex?" That's what Summers asked Mathewson, with whom he shares 5 children, during cross-examination. She responds, "You broke into my home in the middle of the night when I was sleeping, attacked me and tied me up. Yes, I take that as you threatened me to have sex with you. You forced me to have sex with you," she said, growing visibly distraught. "You raped me." Summers calmly pressed on. "So you're calling it rape?" "That is the definition," Mathewson retorted. After finding out that Mathewson had started dating other men amid their somewhat bitter divorce, Summers hatched a murder-suicide plot, and he crawled through the window of her home on March of 2017, sent their children away, then tied Mathewson up with Christmas lights. Well, she testified that he raped her twice, smothered her with a pillow until she lost consciousness, and strangled her with a rope, all despite having a protection order barring all contact. Oh my goodness. A protection order. Jeez, this would have been a good case for Make My Day. Just saying. Well, while she was hogtied, Matheson drove her through numerous counties in Florida. At a Walgreens parking lot, she briefly escaped and cried out, "Please help," called the police, but Summers dragged her back into the car and sliced one of her wrists as punishment, she testified. The twisted father wrote goodbye letters to their children, promising that mom and dad would be watching you from heaven. But police closed in before they could execute his sick little plan. The most damning witness in this case may have been Summers himself, who recorded videos confessing to the crime that were played for jurors in open court. Quote, "I woke Alyssa up and I have been holding her against her will since," he said in one clip, "and I did tie her up to keep her from contacting the authorities and give me enough time to get out of town." Yep, that's a confession, ladies and gentlemen. It's always the defendant's own words that get them. Finally, our dumb criminal of the day, because it's always the defendant's own words that get him. Just another example. A Florida man made deputies work a little easier when he was stopped early Saturday morning for DUI. At least I appreciate his honesty, telling them flat out that he was drunk. Andrew Beck was pulled over for speeding after deputies saw him swerve in and out of lanes and nearly hit a median while driving about 20 miles per hour over the posted speed limit. Now, according to the affidavit, when deputies made contact with Mr. Beck, he spontaneously said, "I'm not going to lie, I'm drunk." 2 breath tests were performed on Mr. Beck, which showed his blood alcohol level was a .272 and a .282 respectively, which is more than 3 times the legal limit. You're right, Mr. Beck, you were drunk. All right, thanks for watching. That was a quick show for you today. Please join us tonight, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. We go live, we answer your questions, and we'll be talking Lori Vallow. See you then.